Which experience do you fully regret having committed to? Story 1. Young me used to go on Craigslist and find couples in open marriages. I'd message them, we'd send pics, then I'd go to their place and bang the wife/GF. Well, I messaged a couple and the guy was over the top for it. Constant pics of his girl. Non-stop asking me what I plan to do. I get there, she is sorta into it. You can tell he begged her to do it. So we are going at it. Then the realization that he wasn't actually into sunk in. Dude starts begging us to stop. She wraps her legs around me and says no, we're doing this. So me, being a piece of shit person back then, keeps going until she is finally done. I rinse in the shower, get dressed and leave. I felt so bad on that drive home. I can still see the guy's face, crying his eyes out. Warning to people. You may think you have a fetish, but it might only sound hot in your head. Reality can be far worse experience. I don't know what happened, never reached back out to them. I went to Taco Bell, 'cause that was my routine. I'd go have sex. I personally almost never got off. I'd go get Taco Bell as a treat for myself. I'd always feel dirty and empty afterwards. Eat my feelings. I had a lot of emotional baggage I didn't know how to deal with. Sex with random people was 100% not the answer. Story 2. Was 19. Met this girl, don't remember how. Plenty of fish, I think. Tawny. Name should have been a red flag. She was cute, we flirted for a while. Turns out she lived in a town 3 hours away, Wyoming. This is annoying, but the norm for dating. We talked for a few weeks. I think I'd view her more as a friend. She's got a rap sheet. I don't judge, but I've got a pretty strict don't stick your dick in crazy rule, or I thought I did at the time. Then I married a coke-addicted cop a few years later. So, had to let go of that fantasy. Anyway, she pesters me for weeks to come up and visit her. I finally have a night free, and she's like, we've got weed. I'm like, okay, fuck. I make the drive and show up to this creepy-ass old house. It's filthy, dirty, there's like 9 other people there. Tells me it's her grandma's house. We smoke a bunch of weed. I try a gravity bong for the first time using a 3-liter of some off-brand Mountain Dew. I'm f***ing blitz. She starts to get handsy. I'm like, fuck, she's cute. We start making out on the couch. She pulls my dick out and starts blowing me in front of everyone. Discovered I'm a bit of an exhibitionist. These people just look, laugh and carry on. Oh. If this is normal. I blow my load, she swallows, then asks me to go outside and sit with her on the lawn couch. We go outside, she snuggles with me for a bit, then pushed me down, pulled her skirt up and sits on my face. I swallowed her clit ring somehow. We then go inside. I'm tired and high and want to leave, but she keeps nagging me to stay. People are filtering out, we put on a movie and watch. Eventually, everyone is gone. She pulls my cock out again and I'm like, okay, last time. I'm 19. Of course I'm about it. We start fucking and she asked me to choke her from behind. I oblige, but she keeps saying harder, harder, to a point I'm not comfortable. She says okay, don't worry. Then, she asks me to f her ass. I've never done anal, so she tells me she's got lube and she'll do the prep. She'll be back in 2 minutes. So I'm sitting there in this girl's grandma's living room, but naked, waiting for her to lube up her back door. She comes back, and we start. She asks me to choke her again. I am like, fuck it, whatever. She passed up, I f***ing panic, and stop. She wakes up and looks at me and goes, did you finish? I'm like, no, I thought I killed you. She says, no, I want you to choke me until I pass out and then come in my ass. You can't leave until you do. I'm so over this at this point. So I'm like, whatever. So I f her until I'm about to come, then squeeze until she passes out, make sure she is still breathing, then bust my nut. As I pull out, I notice my dick is covered in a thick layer of mucus poop. I hurriedly got up, wiped my dick on her curtains, and ran out of her house naked and clutching my clothes as she started to wake up asking where I was going. I drove butt ass naked to a highway rest stop and got my undies on and then went in to get dressed. Got home, blocked her on everything, deleted my POF, and changed my number. Crazy. Story 3. Three-way with my best friend and his ex-wife. Nothing awkward with my friend. We've been friends 30 years. Seen each other naked quite a bit. Never in a sexual way, so I was worried about that, but no, that was fine. I hated his wife. She was a foul woman. But at the time, it was a 6-month dry spell. In my 20s, that felt like an eternity. I'm 5 years now, so I'd happily take that 6 months back hot. But at the same time, she had a banging body. Amazing hips, and to me any boob is perfect if I'm allowed to interact with it, but also hers were spectacular. I was ready to go. Only rule was he could f her mouth, vagina, or backdoor. I get vagina only. Fine with me. Problems started instantly because I went down on her. She said, "Oh. Well. He hasn't given me oral since the wedding night." He sighed, rolled his eyes, and said maybe if you ever offered, I'd be more willing. You know, that was the right time to leave, but I weighed the options of how soon I was going to get laid again, and as they continued to fight, just ate her to finish, fucked her, and left. Definitely the wrong call, but apparently the three-way was to save their troubled marriage, and he was happy to get me laid again. Story 4. Matched with a woman on an app. She looked pretty good in her photos, if a little on the heavier side. She told me she smoked, but only outside, which I thought probably wouldn't be too bad. When I got there, she was probably around 50 kilograms heavier than I thought, and her room absolutely reeked of cigarette smoke, which I personally can't stand. She was breathing heavily and was really awkward and seemed super nervous, and I wasn't attracted to her at all. She leaned in for a kiss, which I tried to dodge, but she leaned in again, and at that point I made the incorrect decision to go along with things, 'cause I didn't want her to feel bad or think that I was rejecting her for her weight. Her mouth tasted of ash. Things escalated and I kept going with a sort of grin and bear it mentality, and pretended to be into it, and when we were done I left early without stopping to pee and got a UTI. I cried when I get home, took a cold shower, and washed her lipstick off my body and the taste of cigarettes out of my mouth. I put on my least sexy clothes and curled into a ball in my bed. Moral of the story is, listen to your gut and never do something you're not on board with, even if you're worried it'll hurt someone's feelings, 'cause it'll hurt you more. Story 5. I was in Australia. I'm a rapper and my friend is a beatboxer. We had both just competed in the annual championships in Melbourne. We are both English. After the gig I approached a girl. Fueled by booze and MDMA, she was putty in my hands due to my enhanced patter. Long story short, the three of us went back to her house. My friend, being the true friend that he is, stayed in the other room. Me and her got down to it, when suddenly my friend came in, asking if we were okay. Far from being perturbed, she gleefully fished 2 condoms from her drawer and threw them on the bed, and struck a pose. I'm not sure what happened in terms of physical allocation, but next thing I knew I was rimming her from behind while she sucked off my mate. The worst part was that me and my friend aren't really friends like that, and we locked eyes during the act. That was enough to make my penis wither and shrink like a pathetic miniature hot dog sausage. Long story short, I made my excuses and left the room. My excuse was I don't like to f my first date. She knew the real reason though. Ended up with me in the lounge listening to my mate shagging the girl I had pulled, while I sat and nursed my shame, looking ruefully at my useless, tiny member. We all shared coffee in the morning before leaving. Me and my mates still laugh about it now. But I wasn't laughing at the time. Story 6. I had a one-night stand with an absolute bombshell of a woman in college that's strapped up in fishnets, lingerie, and rope. I was about to enter her when all of a sudden she said she was a squirter and asked if I would be open to that. Me being a horny 20-year-old, said yes and went to town. Everything was great for about 90% of it all, but just as I was about to climax, she all of a sudden just unleashed a torrent of piss and it got on my bedding, face, and eyes. I stood there with an unfinished limp dick staring like a Jehovah's Witness who saw for the first time. My sheets were destroyed. I spent over $2,000 saved up for my bed, and my sheets were the most expensive thing I had owned at the time. My $1,000 temple was desecrated, and I was so angry at myself for agreeing. To this day, I get disgusted thinking about. Sometimes I get angry even taking a standing piss. We never spoke again after that. Story 7. I would say about 2 nights ago with my boyfriend. We have had sexual compatibility issues for a while. He's got a low sex drive and mine is higher than his. Nothing crazy, I'm horny maybe once or twice a week. He can go multiple weeks without initiating. He also finishes very fast, less than 15 minutes most of the time, and while I'm down for a quickie every now and then, it usually takes me 20 to 30 minutes to reach a climax. We've talked about it at least once a month for the past 5 months, and he knows that when he finishes first, the best thing is to go down on me or finger me right away. But this last time we had sex, I just wanted to have sex with him. He came so fast. Maybe 2 to 5 minutes? It felt very quick. As soon as he came, I just started crying. I am losing hope that he'll ever be able to make me come, and I've started having dreams and fantasies about being a voyeur and getting sexual validation from people who watch. When he comes fast, I am overwhelmed with disappointment, and then guilt for feeling disappointed. I've started associating sex with guilt at this point, and I stopped masturbating because I feel guilty thinking I wish he could make me feel like this. He goes above and beyond in every other aspect of our relationship. Just last night he was rubbing my feet and putting vapor up on my chest because I'm sick. Everything about him is perfect, and I love him so much. But not being able to climax with him is a huge disconnection that impacts me emotionally. I wanted him to wear a strap-on, so that I can have the experience with him that I've been needing. But I know that suggestion would just emasculate and embarrass him, so I don't bother. At this point, I just regret saying yes to sex because it always results in more disappointment.